I'm doing this recording after I've filmed the video of me getting this thing started. So just to go over some of the stuff that I haven't recorded. Some of the things I did was strip the engine down. I've replaced the spark plugs. Then when replacing the spark plugs, I also found the rocker cover gasket was leaking oil into where the spark plugs were. So I got a new gasket for it. After the rocker cover gasket, I also stripped down the cam belt to replace that, because it's been sitting for over 15 years and I wouldn't want the cam belt to snap and then send the pistons up and bend the valves and completely destroy the engine. I also got a battery for the car, which I did test before actually trying to start it, and the ignition worked, all the lights on the car all worked. So that was a good sign to start with. So none of the wiring had been chewed through by rats or stuff like that. And then I move on to the oil. I did a engine or oil change on this. So just removing the oil and replacing the oil filter. So I'll show you the clip of me getting the oil and the oil filter. However, I don't actually have the footage of me changing the oil, so you're just gonna have to do with this clip. So, there she is. We are gonna now do an oil change. Do an oil change, and we're gonna try and figure out how I can do this. Right, easy. We've got oil here, yep, and the filter. Just a simple swap. And then just nice, easy swap. Get us in looking good. Yeah, let's do it. With that, I also replaced the air filter. So I basically overall just done a general service on the engine before starting it up, just to make sure everything was working. However, when I did start it, it was turning over, however it wasn't firing. And judging by the fact I replaced the spark plugs with new ones, I expected them to be working. So the first thought I immediately jumped to was the fuel pump. I then connected the fuel pump directly to the battery and disconnected the fuel lines so I could see if there was actually fuel coming out, or whether or not the fuel pump was actually working. And after testing that, I came to find out that the fuel pump wasn't working. You couldn't hear it, and there wasn't any fuel firing out the fuel lines. So the first clip is me taking out the fuel tank so I can get at the fuel pump and take it out, and so I can see what the fuel pump is, and so I can buy a new one for it and replace it. The car turns over fine. However, the old fuel pump didn't work. It wasn't pumping, no fuel was coming out. Even when we directly hooked it up to the battery, it still didn't work. So we've replaced that with a new fuel pump. So, however, the problem is the casing on our Celica, is the long, deep one, when this is much shorter, as you can see. However, I do think that actually replacing the internal pump onto that will still do the same function, and it will still work, I hope. We'll see. We will see. We'll soon find out. And yeah, so let's take this part, hook it up to that one, and hopefully it runs. Let's see. Okay. So we're going to take apart this pump and hook it up to this one. Let's do that. One. There we go. Right, both wires are now disconnected from the pump. However, I need to figure out how to get off the actual pump itself. Go on. Go on, how you get? Okay, nice. Okay. Hey, that's it, mate. That's it. Let's go. Nice new pump. Perfect. Okay. We got this old one now, we can chuck to this side. We don't necessarily need it quite yet. Put it to the side. Out with the old, in with the new. So, slide this up onto there. Perfect, that's in there now. Looking good. That's on there. Let's grab a clip. Should be solid now. Alright, boom, that should be solid now. Let's connect up these wires. There we go. Yeah, that's looking much nicer. I think that's it. Should be ready to go back on. Get everything away. Nice. Do a quick little rotation for you. Get the good camera angles. Yeah, boy. Nice. So we got the fuel pump back together now, and I've just cleaned out the inside of the tank by pouring fuel in and shaking it about just to loosen up all the dirt, the rust, because it's been sitting here for about 9 years. It's been sitting in a field. And yeah, I'll show a clip of me washing it out and pouring out the red rusty liquid that was from it within inside the tank. So it's cleaner now. I've got it back together. I've put the fuel pump back in. Let's show you that. There you go. As you can see, the fuel pump is in. Yeah, just done all these bolts back up. And I've tested it now by hooking it up to the battery, where I heard the pump moving, so it should be working all good now. I've just got to put it in the back of the car and then test it again, test how it flows, how the fuel flows through the whole system. Right, so I actually forgot to show the process of me actually getting this fuel pump in, but it is now in. I'll give you a little look at how it's in. There you go. As you can see, bolt up there is done. All the fuel lines up there, they're all done. Yeah, that's so it's all in. I did also have to make a custom bracket this end of the thing, hard to see, but it's up there, you can see, but just for this suspender for the tank, because it snapped off because of the rust and everything that was sitting there. So now we've got all that in, it's time to test if the fuel goes through the whole system into the engine. So we'll be doing that next, and hopefully I can show you more progress on that. So it turns out I didn't record it, sorry about that. However, it did work, and here's a clip of it running.